What's up, everybody? It's your boy Meme here. My hair looks a little silly and unusual right now, but it's okay. Look, this is the video publish screen of the video I uploaded last night. Something that happens is, I usually record and make the thumbnail of and upload my video pretty late at night, like usually right before I go to bed. And I have a inclination to not really turn off my computer at the end of every night. I do fairly consistently. It's something I didn't used to do at all because I really wanted to take advantage of all of the benefits of a Linux system over a Windows system. Like, I had just switched from Windows and I really wanted to, I started using i3, I started like getting into all these things that were like specific to a Linux ecosystem, right? So I didn't turn off my computer at the end of the night for a long time, like what you would do with a Windows computer. But I do it fairly consistently now. However, it's still true that I don't turn off my computer as much as if I ran Windows, which is every single night. Like, sometimes I leave something running overnight, or sometimes, I just don't turn off my computer because I don't have to deal with, like, undoing the encryption, that morning through Lux, right? Well, Lux on LVM, right? That's what I have. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at the Arch wiki page. Sue me, right? But the point is it usually results in this interesting effect where, like, the next morning I look at all this stuff I was doing last night, which doesn't seem that weird, but there's this sort of chronological nature. That's probably the wrong word. There's a sort of I don't know, separative nature that comes from the usage of a Windows computer. It makes everything rather transient. If you turn off your computer at the end of every night, every morning starts with turning your computer on. Like, every time you turn off your computer, it's like you're closing a chapter in a book, right? But when you leave your computer running overnight and you unlock it, it's actually kind of incredible because this is kind of weird, but it does something to where you've sort of connected this sort of chapter in using your computer in a way that was impossible to connect before because, it was bad for performance to turn off your computer. Or it wasn't bad at performance to turn off your computer. Or, you know what I'm saying. And yeah, it's just pretty interesting. Nothing else is really going on today. I woke up this morning at 6, which I wish I woke up at 5. But, sometimes I'm a degenerate, okay? Sue me. And what else? I walked on the treadmill for 50 minutes. And that's 5-0, not 1-5. And then I, shaved, and then I took a shower. And then I ate my slop bowl, which is oatmeal and chia seeds. Just like steel-cut oats and chia seeds and some honey, which I should use a 0-calorie sweetener. But, what can you do? Okay. Yeah, so I had that, and now I'm just on my computer, and I'm about to do some certification work. I'm going to work on my flashcards, pretty much. Nothing else is really going on. Fucking Joshua Citarella released his interview with Grimes, which is really crazy. I'm not that big of a Grimes head, in all honesty. I listened to some of her music. I heard, what's the name of that song? It's on Visions. Is it Oblivion? I had listened to Oblivion and I was like, wow, this is a pretty good song. And then I listened to all of Visions, and that whole thing was pretty good. One of my thumbnails is sort of meant to look like Visions, so see if you can see that one. Like, it's meant to sort of look like the Visions album art. I listen to, like, some of Art Angels. I like her new single, but, I'm not that, like, I was never into Grimes, and she was at, like, at peak Grimes, you know what I'm saying? What the hold on. When she was at, like, peak Grimes, that looks okay. And so, I'm not really too into her art, but I really am to Joshua Citarella, because I think he's a really smart guy. He's good at communicating sort of the study of memetics, and also he does really work on online community. Having been on, over COVID, I was on some pretty interesting Discord communities that could be described as similar to the communities that Joshua Citarella looks into, right? near the beginning of COVID. I don't really watch his stuff anymore, but I was like a big fan of Vosh, you know, and so I was pretty active on his Discord server, and then there's actually some drama went down, and then I went to a splinter server of Vosh's Discord server, and that, you know, that that resulted in like a week, and it had like 30 people, and the whole thing was kind of weird because through a whole bunch of weird extraneous circumstances, one of my real life friends ended up joining the server, and it was really, you know, it was a cool server. Like, there's lots of cool people on there, some of whom actually ended up being a little successful, which is pretty interesting. But what I am saying is, like, everyone on there was great and it was fine, but it's weird because it does sort of look like a lot of these, you know, sort of esoteric online communities that Joshua Citarella talks about. And so it's interesting because, you know, through his analysis, I'm able to notice things, you know, looking through the lens of modern day on, you know, what was going on in the past. And I think to myself, like, wow, you know, like he has a sort of unique perspective having been in just more than one. And of course, you know, instead of him being in one, he's like studying many, and, you know, it's dubious whether or not that might give you more information. But, you know, having been in an online community similar to the ones Joshua Citarella talks about, I can kind of, I derive more value from what he's saying than I think an average viewer might. So, you know, I think that's pretty cool. I like his podcast. I liked his episode with Dasha from Red Scare, which is a funny thing to say, but, you know, and, you know, I disavow Dasha from I disavow Red Scare, okay? But, you know, okay, I sort of dug myself into a hole here, so yeah, I'm gonna end the video. Goodbye.